Welcome back to Budget Night Live here on Sky News. We've got a great panel for you now. One Nation MP Barnaby Joyce, Independent Member for Fowler Dai Lee, and former Labor Cabinet Minister Stephen Conroy. Great to see you both. Dai Lee, first to you, what do you make of the changes, your overall view of this budget? How will it be received in Western Sydney?
Well, I don't know what's in it for Western Sydney, and it's not... You know, it's supposed to be a very ambitious budget, a resilient budget, and I don't know if anything resilient or ambitious about it. Looking at some of the issues such as the WATO tax, WATO, which I think the name stands for what are they offering? Really, the $250, offset. Housing, that's not going to address the housing shortages and affordability, because that's just going to look at new build, and that means young people will be out of it. They will not be able to buy housing because housing is going to be more expensive to build, all of that stuff. So I think for Western Sydney, for me, there's nothing in there for Western Sydney and Fowler.
What about the bush? What about One Nation voters?
I think overall the dynamics of this is lazy. The asset base of Australia doesn't work. I mean, if you have a look, there's a thing called the Malaysian Peninsula. At the end there's a swampy island called Singapore. It's got no oil, no gas, no uranium, no beef, no sheep, no grain. It has a GDP about a quarter to a third of Australia. You know why? Because the resources between people's ears. What we've done in this budget is we've said to people, if you develop a power source that is good enough to power in this pen that could power Canberra, the best thing for you to do in Australia is leave. So we are telling people with the resources, with the acumen to leave, because we're going to tax their pants off if they stay and make a profit. We are driving out entrepreneurship. And with the housing stuff, there are a certain group of people who just can't afford houses. And they're always going to be there. And when you just create some sort of artificial mechanism that pushes that cohort down, the people at the bottom live in their car. A person tried this before. His name was Paul Keating. And 2 years later, he reversed it. And in 2 years' time, we have an election. The final thing I would say, that not even Jim Chalmers could make it through his full-time slot tonight. He was so uninspired, he left Australia with 4 minutes up their sleeve in a budget speech that most people go over time. And that's because most of it was already out. There is no vision. It is the same old rubbish. They're going back to the taxpayer to pay more tax because they can't cover the promises they've made.
Stephen, your defence of the government and a plan that really looks a fair bit like your old friend Bill Shorten's policies.
Well, look, not surprisingly, I'm not going to agree with almost anything Barnaby or Dai said there. This is very much a reformist budget. And apparently, before the 50% CGT tax was in place, no one lived in Australia. I mean, that was amazing. It must have been a fantastic place back then, because people actually still lived in Australia when they paid 50. So, I mean, this is drivel.
In Australia when Paul Keating was here.
This is just drivel. And it should be called out. No, your analysis that people should leave Australia. It won't happen. It didn't happen when...
Where do you think most of these people are domiciled? Where do you think, like, a lot of these big business people are domiciled?
This is restoring a tax rate back to what it was.
Oh, my God.
Back when it started, people still lived in Australia with ideas. It's just like, I don't know if you noticed that.
I do notice.
I do know.
Why would I stay here when I can get tax zero in Singapore on capital gains tax?
Well, why would you stay here?
If I make a huge risk, because if I make a because I'm a PAYG, that's where I'm here at the moment.
Gentlemen, I think for me the issue with the negative gearing and the capital gains tax, I can see the intention. However, the issue around new build, and as I mentioned before, is that will that really produce or, build more homes? Because we have not addressed the fact that costs have gone up, building costs have gone up, workforce shortages, that has not been addressed in terms of the housing industry. So how... and of course, all of the different levels of taxes in New South Wales, almost over $500,000 goes into building a new home. And all of the other costs that goes into building a new home, how do you make a new build affordable for young people?
Let me ask Stephen about this, because it goes to that fundamental question, I guess. And it is super complex, and I've spent all afternoon trying to get my head around it all. But do you generate more housing by taxing it more?
Well, let's be very clear about something. The existing system has not worked. Young people are being priced out and driven out. So the status quo is a failure. The policies that have led to this status quo have been failures. And so what we see here is a government that wants to see affordability helped back into the market. No one's making bald promises that the price of houses is going to drop. That is not, and you yourself have asked Jim that question just before. No one is trying to pretend. What it does is it slows the growth. And anything that does that will actually help young people to be able to afford.
How would it address renters, though? How would it address renters? Because renters in Fowler, 40%, almost 40% people rent. So that's going to actually impact on renters because rent is going to go up. So I think I understand the intent that the policy has not really produced or developed more homes. That's true. But what... You can't just do no negative gearing and grandfathering.
Unfortunately, your criticism was a list of state government
they're all going to magically become first home buyers. They're just going to, all of a sudden, all that time, they were just renting for a joke. They just wanted, they couldn't get over it, so they rented. But now... magic happens, and they all become first home owners.
Barnaby, will there be...
What a load of rubbish.
If there is capital gains, because the capital gains tax 50% discount will be applicable.
Yeah.
You can use it if you buy a new house or a new apartment, and you can negative gear a newly built home, apartment or whatever, if it boosts supply. So if you've got an existing block even and you have put a duplex on it, you can negative gear that. So will that boost supply?
What will happen is that the people who are renting now, Kieran, are renting, I would say, overwhelmingly because they can't afford a house. Like, after tonight, you know what? They still can't afford a house. But you'll have families with sons and daughters who will say, I'll put you into a house, I'll buy a deposit for you. And that group of people who can't afford, who are doing it the toughest, they get pushed down. It's an inelastic group. They get pushed down and the people at the bottom get knocked out. This happened before under Keating, and we had a rental crisis in Sydney and Perth. People were just basically going out in the street. So much so that his hero from the right, Paul John Keating, changed the law because it was turning into a disaster.
Is this a risk, Stephen? Is that a risk of this?
Look, I like Barnaby, am old enough to remember what happened at that time. And there was a concerted media campaign to try and pretend that Sydney was being caused by negative gearing. Sydney's always been out of control. I was there too, Barnaby.
So PJ Keating...
I was there.
So Paul John Keating was stupid.
No.
He was pushed around.
No. Well, unfortunately, on this one he was. He actually gave in to the campaign.
You heard it first there, folks.
Okay? He gave in to the campaign. I'm sure he himself would have said he would rather not...
Luckily, Jim Chalmers is tougher. Policy.
Well... Jim is going to have to, as he said, because all of the Conservative commentators, One Nation, the Nationals, the Liberals, Conservative media, they're all going to focus.
Are you going to pay?
Are
you going to pay copyright to Bill Shorten for this?
You're now going to.
Do you have to pay copyright to him?
Minutes not fighting with Matt Canavan.
Do you have to pay copyright? Does Bill Shorten get copyright for this?
You get 5 minutes to not fight with each other.
Does Bill
attack the government? So the question, though,
the Bill Shorten budget.
The question, though, for me is that. Like I said, we're going around in circle here. I understand in terms of the need, but I don't believe in the budget, and I haven't gone through it all.
Offset?
The tax offset, well, it's WATO. I think what are they offering? That's I think what it stands for, isn't it?
That's 64 cents a day.
No, $45 a week. Look, to me, and that's. Look, I'm not going to deny...
You're both voting for it.
Well, look...
You're voting for it or
look,
not?
You know what?
Well,
I can't... people who are struggling, putting food on the table, paying their energy bills, I will not say no to $4 or $5 a week in their pocket. But really, how are you going to address the rising cost of energy bills, the rising cost of groceries and rent in my community, and no manufacturing at all? So it's just like $45... Are we happy with that? I mean, I feel like...
The government has to be cautious, doesn't it, in terms of inflation right now?
If they go and see families in Western and South-Western Sydney, and I'm sure regional as well, and how they're struggling, and you have to ask the question, have the government been on the ground, going out there and talking face-to-face with families and small business owners and understand... Look, I have to say... I welcome the 20,000, well, the tax offset that's made permanent, which is great. I've been calling for the permanent tax offset, but it should be 50,000, not 20,000, because the cost, for the cost of doing business has gone up so much, right? So, yes, instant asset write-off. So the cost of doing business equipment-wise, fixed costs in running a small business, they are the engine of our economy. And I welcome that.
Can I give the Labor Party a plug?
There's also, yes, please.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious. You ready for a plug?
Oh, dear.
Okay, here we go.
We're in trouble.
This is the first.
There's got to be something gone wrong.
Barnaby's
going to give us the plug. We're in trouble.
Climate change is dying. The green energy is gone. Climate change is dying. It's like a smell of burning flesh around Chris Bowen. But it is dying a miserable death. Thank goodness for that.
There's nothing for energy. Our energy bills is constantly going up, so there's nothing in there, not that I have seen in my quick glance of the budget. Nothing about the fuel excise, and I know that's going to end soon. And for families, mums and dads, truck drivers, deliverers in Western Sydney, they are using the roads more. Not many people use EVs in our electorate.
That can't be right. No, they're everywhere. They're like rats. They're up every sewer.
You'll vote for the.
You're voting for all.
You'll vote for the income tax offset as well.
Let's have a look at it. Why don't you put it all?
Stop pretending.
Why don't you put it all together in a package and we can make a decision about the Bill Shorten budget?
You're just jealous.
I'd just like to thank you, Bill, for the work you've done.
You're going to have to vote
Uncle
for
Jim.
Budget.
He's a very sneaky guy.
You know what?
He's a slippery character.
You're going to have to vote for
He's a slippery character.
Even if we voted for it, Stephen, the problem is that we need to look at our community and thinking, are they really taking us for granted? $45 a week. But guys, this is the best that they can do. And, you feel for your community. You feel...
Tax
and you
cuts
think,
2 years ago, tax cuts last year,
Hang on. There's more money coming out of PAYG than there was when you first... Massively more.
Why don't you be brave and say you're going to index tax threshold like John Howard did? And then he abandoned it after 18 months.
What is it that when you say, there's tax cuts, you're collecting vastly more tax than where you were when you started.
And in fact,
I think it's about 26%.
You will introduce tax indexation.
But
Scoop,
you are the government.
You're not going to.
You are the government.
Let me check. When you were Deputy Prime Minister,
more tax.
This is what happens.
You're collecting less. And now you're going to tax entrepreneurship.
This is previous government, current government members or former government members. And independent. Honestly, like you both are talking, from in a bubble. And I think, for me, the increasing of income threshold makes more sense. It'll have more money in people's pocket. The income threshold is at 18,500 currently. Now that was set in 2012. We're now in 2026, and nothing's been done.
That's why they collect more money.
No, and now we're giving $1,000 $1,000 one off, and $250 annually.
Add it all up. What did it come to?
I think about $2,000.
Well, you're going to vote against that too.
Look, Stephen, I'm saying for my community that are struggling, low socioeconomic, $4 to $5 a week in their pocket might mean something.
Why don't we just turn around? Would I vote against your capital gains tax changes? Yes, I would. Would I vote against your decision?
You're voting for all the tax.
But hang on, no. You're doing this because you are running out of money. That is what's happening here. And you can't make the Australian business work well. You can't exercise more outcome from the asset base of the Australian economy. And so you do what dumb people do.
Well, perhaps you say, shouldn't have run up $1 trillion in debt when you were in government.
Hang on. First of all, we haven't reached $1 trillion of debt just yet, even you.
Well,
unless you have.
You were sitting behind Josh Frydenberg.
Have you reached $1 trillion of debt? Have you reached? No. Have you reached $1 trillion of debt? Oh, thank you very much. First honest man. Took a while, but he got there.
Your last budget, Josh Frydenberg predicted $1 trillion.
Well, it's
your last budget. You were sitting behind him. $1 trillion.
But so have you turned around? Have you turned it around?
We've slowed it.
No. Have you turned it around?
We're getting there.
How you going with the NDIS, mate? Boy, that's working well for you.
You ran it for 9 years.
Boy, oh boy.
You ran it for 9 years.
But you're the government.
But you ran it for 9 years and we're now fixing
You want more time as the opposition. You want to practice being an opposition.
9 years designing...
Gentlemen, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to wrap it up.
Tragically,
it's been the government.
We're fixing your mess.
Stephen Conroy, Dai Li, thanks for being a part of it. Lovely to get that immediate, impassioned debate.